Please stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, may we have a roll call, please, students?
Stephen Arthur.
Here.
Jim Batson.
Here.
Alex Delipoli.
Here.
Pat Gertie.
On his way.
Lundstedt.
Here.
Ellen Mauer. Here. Bill Ratzer.
Here.
Okay, for the record, Pat Grudy is not here yet. He's on his way. He'll be here soon. Oh, pardon me, excuse me. President Grudy is not able to be here tonight, so I will be filling in. And so tonight we will be we'll be beginning with our communication section. We will be going downstairs to the auditorium because it's going to be a very large group of people that's going to be participating in this portion of the agenda. We'll be meeting our new Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Rita Fisher, having an educational presentation from Mark Busing on his trip to Antarctica, and then lots of staff recognition, boys volleyball coach, LHS and student and VHHS student recognitions, which will be wonderful. I think that's what we've got a big crowd for. President's report, where we'll be honoring our outgoing and welcoming our incoming student board reps, and have our reports from our student board reps, final ones from maybe, I don't know if the new guys are going to do part of it too. Then the superintendent's report from Dr. Lee. There'll be a time for invitation for public comment. You're welcome to come to the podium and state your name, address, and we have a 3-minute time limit if you'd like to make a public comment. Then we will continue on to the consent vote agenda, the Program and Personnel Committee, Chairperson Maurer, Facilities and Finance Committee, Chairman Batson, Property Committee, may or may not have something, and then the Special Education District of Lake County will have a short report. Illinois Association of School Boards, and then we'll convene into executive session, and there will be no action taken after executive session, and then we will adjourn. So
we can move down to.
So we will move down. We don't need to take any vote or anything. Thank you.
Right. And we can just walk down. Thank you. Wow. Would you probably?
We started our board meeting upstairs, and we wanted to come down here because you're going to be much more comfortable here than you would be up in the library with this amount of people. And so we appreciate your patience as staff is getting organized for this evening. We're going to do several things down here this evening, including recognize our students. First, we will be introducing you to our new Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. We have a short educational presentation from Mark Busing, who is an outstanding physics teacher and coach at LHS, on a very neat and deep project that he did with NASA recently. We're going to recognize 2 staff members, and then we're going to raise the roof for our student achievement this evening. So I greatly appreciate that. I do want to do one thing before we start this evening, before everybody kind of goes their way after we do the recognition. You know, we are so proud of our students here. We love the children that you have sent us. And it's just such a pleasure for our staff to work with your kids, and I'm speaking to the parents now. And one of the reasons we have 2 world-class high schools is because we also have world-class parents and world-class community support. So what I would like to do at the beginning of the program tonight is ask all of the parents and relatives and friends of the students here tonight, I want you to stand, and we want to give you a round of applause. So parents, stand please. Well, first of all, after intensive application, reference checking, screening, and multiple interview processes for the District 128 Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction position, which included a pool of outstanding semifinalists and finalists for the position, At the April 22nd Board of Education meeting, I was very excited to recommend Dr. Rita Fisher as the next Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. The board unanimously affirmed my recommendation, and we are excited that Dr. Fisher will officially join the District 128 family on July 1st, 2013. Rita is currently the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction at Grays Lake High School District 128, where she is highly regarded for her instructional leadership work and positive working relationships with teachers, administrators, and staff to ensure student growth and increase student achievement. Rita is an accomplished, high-performing leader, and she is an excellent addition to the District 128 leadership team. Rita brings more than 20 years of educational experience to the position, having worked as Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Associate Principal for Curriculum and Instruction, Social Studies Department Chair, and Social Studies Teacher in District 127. Rita has also had extensive experience in and is highly regarded as a conference and workshop presenter. Finally, did I mention that Rita is a Libertyville High School graduate, lives in the school district, and has children attending a District 128 high school. Rita holds an FD in Educational Leadership from National English University, an MS in Educational Administration from Northern Illinois University, an MA in Curriculum and Instruction from Barat College, and a BA in Interdisciplinary Social Sciences from Barat College. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the new Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction in District 128, Dr. Rita Fisher. And now I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Al Fleming, who will introduce you to our next presenter.
At every board meeting, we have an educational presentation, and this particular presentation is unique in terms of the experience that this teacher had. And so we thought this would be exciting for all of you to hear about this. This is just an example of how our staff members, this is kind of a unique professional development opportunity where Mr. Busey brought back a lot of experiences he had with his class. And at the same time, when he was there, he was still communicating with his class through blogs and conversations that way. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Busey and for the education presentation.
If you're one of my students, you might not know who Mr. Busey is. That's me, Mr. Mark. I've been teaching and coaching in the district for about 20 years, and last month I had the unique opportunity to work with NASA's Operation Icebridge in Greenland through a program called Polar Trek, which pairs polar researchers with teachers. And tonight's talk will feature the science and adventure of Operation Icebridge and why science, technology, engineering, and math are vital for all of our students. So let's start with the adventure part. That's the good part. Oh, I'm clicking. So Operation Icebridge is an airborne science mission, a 6-year mission to gather data over polar ice, that's sea ice, glaciers, and ice sheets in unprecedented detail that will allow future scientists to build better models and better understand global climate. It is no exaggeration to say that teachers, those who work in support of teachers, and parents are literally developing those future scientists today, right here. This is part of the adventure. Over the sea ice, they actually dodge the icebergs. Sometimes the top of the iceberg is above the top of the plane. So it combines the cutting-edge science with adventure in some of the most remote parts of the globe in a combination that for a nerdy guy like me was pretty amazing. So where is Greenland? Well, it's right there. This might give you a little better idea. One interesting thing here is that in April, in the winter and spring, all the international flights to Greenland originate out of Copenhagen, Denmark. And There's only 5 per week, so you have to fly from Chicago, crossing over the southern end of Greenland. I was asking for a parachute, to Copenhagen, and then back most of the way back across the Atlantic to Greenland. A distance of more than 6,000 miles for a displacement of only slightly more than 2,000 miles. It's a little physics lesson for you. And this video might put it in a little better perspective. This takes us from Libertyville High School to Greenland. Greenland, an autonomous country within the Kingdom of Denmark, makes tiny Denmark the 12th largest country in the world by area. It's about the same area as the country of Mexico, but with the population of La Crosse, Wisconsin. That's about 57,000 people. 80% of it covered in ice. Operation Icebridge is based out of a place called Kangerlussuaq, Greenland, which didn't exist until 1942 when the U.S. built an air base there, when the Allies were afraid that Germany would invade North America. And just about 10 miles out of town, you can see the edge of the ice cap right there. Oops. So what is Operation Icebridge? Well, they have a Facebook page, doesn't everyone? And they have a website, videos, pictures, good stuff there. And you might be thinking, why ice at this point? Why polar ice? Well, think of it this way. It's hopefully obvious why we study earthquakes. There's an immediate impact on all of us. Polar ice is much the same way. While the impact might not be as immediate, hopefully it's just as obvious how that could impact all of us. And you won't know, you wouldn't know unless someone's gathering the data to measure what's going on now, next year, the year after, so that these future scientists can build better models and better understand what's going on. They fly a P-3 Orion, which is a plane designed for the Navy to hunt Soviet submarines. And now it works for NASA, one of them does. It's about 116 feet long, 100-foot wingspan. That's about the same size as a 737. It flies low and slow, all the better to gather data on ice. It has a range of 4,000 miles. Most of our daily missions were more than the 2,000-mile range. And it's crammed full of scientific equipment, everything from laser altimeters to radars to digital imaging systems, magnetometers, a lot of amazing scientific equipment run by some really bright people who, more importantly, work very, very hard at what they do to get good at what they do. And lots of data. They collect 2 terabytes of data per day. They come home for the spring campaign with about 200, 250 terabytes of data. To put that in perspective, the entire printed material in the Library of Congress occupies 10 terabytes of data. They'll collect that much data in 5 days. And let's take a quick break for some more adventure. Here's a map of the flight you just watched to Baffin Island in Canada over the Penny Ice Cap. Here's a map of all the flights that Operation Icebridge took this spring. This one's interesting. It shows a lot of different things that Icebridge does One thing they do is they mow the lawn, that's what they call it, over important glaciers to gather a lot of data in a relatively small geographic area. The squiggly line is actually a glacier run, they call it. So they're actually following the glacier all the way out into the fjord or back up a glacier. Really concentrate on what's going on there. And these long crossing lines, any idea? Satellite tracks. They'll actually fly over the same places that the satellites are gathering data to verify and calibrate the data from space. Here's a close-up of mowing the lawn. I like the next one, which shows that they collect data over a wide swath. In order to make the data longitudinally viable, you have to collect data literally in the same area year after year after year. The pilots are so skilled, they can fly within 50 feet of the center line 95% of the time. So they get a lot of repetitive data year after year. And that's just a 3D image of some of those glacier runs. That's the exciting part. And they turn all the data into graphic images. This is the Jakobshavn Glacier. You can see it's coded by elevation. It's high down in the bottom right. And it comes up to a little cliff right here. So, it drops off. That's the calving front of the glacier. That's where icebergs break off, drift down the fjord, go out in the Atlantic, and sink the Titanic. Using ice-penetrating radar, they can actually see what's underneath the ice. And I also want to say here that this morning, today, my 3 classes used actual ice bridge data, making District 128 the first high school district in the country to use ice bridge data in the curriculum. So that was pretty sweet. I'm going to confess, we weren't quite making pictures that look like that, but they were still pretty good. And NASA can use supercomputers to generate some really amazing images. This one here combines data from a lot of different sensors to get a topographic as well as an inside and below the ice kind of picture of what's going on. Of course, the colors here are elevation. They're not the actual colors of a glacier, because glaciers are actually white? I'm not sure. Alan Poe, and if you want to be a scientist, that's some of the cool stuff you can do. Why are science, technology, engineering, and math vital to all of our students? It's because technology is here to stay. So maybe you want to be a doctor. Great. Ever heard of robotic surgery and advanced imaging techniques? Maybe you just want to go into business. That's fine, but what are the biggest businesses in the world now? Those that deal with technology. None of those things are changing. I think it's critical for our students, while they might not be going into science, technology, engineering, and math per se, to keep one foot firmly planted in that region. So working with Polartrek and NASA, we came up with a plan that by day we'd collect data, and by night we would try to motivate the next generation of scientists and engineers. And spent 2 days, 2 full days on the ground, not flying, connecting with classrooms. This one's in Libertyville, and this one's in Bend, Oregon. That's me on the big screen. And working in a high school environment, I'm not always aware of the energy and excitement that exists in a 3rd grade classroom, but I got to experience it. This is me down here looking kind of shell-shocked. And I think we were successful. We reached more than 500 students in the time I was there, more than 100 teachers, more than 100 parents and others, those are administrators. And we answered a whole bunch of questions, more than 300 questions, and more than 6 hours connected to those students. Kept that online journal and video posts. Teachers at LHS and VHHS were following, teachers from Maine to Alaska, teachers in many foreign countries. I was Skyping with classes. My classes at Libertyville got a chance to actually use a text chat system and talk to the scientists and engineers on the plane in real time while they were in the air. That was pretty neat. And the analytics show that we reached quite a few people. The YouTube videos got somewhere around 2,500 views, 7,500 unique page views, so that's 7,500 people just following through Polartrek, 9,500 total page views. People were coming back once in a while. I was parallel posting through social media, and I don't have the analytics for those, but anecdotally, one video got 2,400 views by itself through social media. And while 99% of the time was science and research, that still left 1% of the time to do things like make some friends and go for a run, or drive up to the ice sheet and actually go for a hike on the ice sheet. It was kind of slippery. Sample the local cuisine, things like caribou, musk ox, reindeer, seal, whale, and maybe some other things you can recognize. Willie the Wildcat got to go along. He got to do a little flying, and he also went on a hike. That was fun for Willie. And I connected to my cross-country team back here. Here I offer them a little advice.
Hey gang, it's Coach Mark here again on another Green Landing run. What are you doing watching this? Turn the computer off, close the lid, go for a run. Meet the coach day, try to meet the coach day is coming up. Get training. I'll see you back there.
Without exception though, every engineer and scientist I met could point to a specific instance, and in many cases a particular teacher that got them interested in science as a career. And it's no exaggeration to say that the next generation of scientists are being trained right here in our district. Oops, go back one, Bo. The next generation being trained right here.
You could be the next NASA project manager.
You could be the next science navigator for a big NASA airborne science project, such as Operation Aspiration.
You could be the next NASA pilot. You could be the next remote sensing engineer. You could be the next CI scientist.
You could be the next remote sensing specialist.
You could be the next NOAA pilot.
You could be the next scientist.
You could be the next NASA pilot.
You could be the next radar engineer.
You could be the next aerospace engineer.
You could be the next remote sensing engineer.
You could be the next system analyst.
You could be the next physics teacher.
I just want to point out that after a couple months of living on the road, even the PhD scientists and world-famous glaciologists start to look a little ragged around the edges. And one last video just to highlight the adventure that is science. It's not always in a classroom or in a white-coated lab. Sometimes it's in a plane going 250 miles an hour, 500 feet off the ground, taking data over some of the most remote and beautiful parts of the planet you've ever seen. And if we have inspired one more student to follow a career in science, technology, engineering, or math today, then I think we've been pretty successful. Imagine how close the wingtip is to the water right there. And if you get a little sick watching it, you can just imagine what I felt like. So, thank you very much.
Mark Busey. Outstanding, Mark. We're very proud of you and the excellent work that you continue to do with your students, teaching and coaching at LHS. Thank you very much. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Ellen Swig, who is the principal at Vernon Hills High School.
I could have Chris Curry and Paul Bretner make their way down here. We're going to recognize two coaches. As Chris is walking down, what I'd like to introduce the first person coming forward is Chris Curry. And Vernon Hills High School volleyball coach Chris Curry has received the 2012 Coach of the Year Award at the state level in boys volleyball from the National Federation of State High School Association. The Illinois High School Association nominated Curry for this award based upon his positive work with athletes in the Vernon Hills High School program. Mr. Curry is in his 18th year of coaching in District 128. He is a graduate of the University of Illinois. In addition to coaching at Vernon Hills High School, he also teaches English and is our assistant athletic director. Chris, congratulations on this outstanding honor. We are very proud of you. We next have Paul Bretner. Congratulations to VHHS head basketball coach Paul Bretner for being named the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Co-Coach of the Year. Mr. Bretner has been the head varsity basketball coach since 2001. His girls basketball team has had the prestigious honor of finishing second in state for the past 2 seasons. Mr. Bretner is a graduate of Bradley University. He's also a member of the math department. Paul, I also want to congratulate you on this distinguished honor. Allie Tran, if you can come up here. As Allie makes her way up here, Senior Allison Tran has been named a member of the 2012-13 IHSA All-State Academic Team. She is the 4th Vernon Hills High School student to receive the IHSA's top academic honor in the school's 12-year history. Every IHSA member school may nominate one boy and one girl for the honor. Nominees must have at least a 3.5 GPA and must have participated in 2 IHSA sports or activities during the last 2 years, and must demonstrate outstanding citizenship. Allie has been a member of the Vernon Hills gymnastics team for 3 years and a member of the track and field team for 4 years. She is qualified to compete at the state level for multiple years in both sports. Allie has also been named the Daily Herald Lake County Athlete of the Year and was chosen for the Daily Herald leadership team. Is Spencer Labuda here? Spencer Labuda, come on down. He's got a ways to go here. Senior Spencer Labuda finished in first place in the Skills USA State Championship in Springfield on April 12th. Spencer competed in the Adobe Photoshop contest and is the first student in Vernon Hills history to place first in the Skills USA competition. Congratulations, Spencer. Have members of our FBLA all come up and stand right here. We really appreciate it. All FBL. Our FBLA is our Future Business Leaders of America, and their sponsor is Amanda Carroll and Sean Kavir, and they could not be here tonight, but I'm going to read off the names of these competitors. Your name, just step forward to be recognized. These are all students who have competed at the state level and now are going on to the national level. Amy Dolan, step forward, she's here. Max Fisher, Zach Furlett, Rachel Jacoby. If we could hold our applause to the end, that would be great. Carson King, Alex Lale, Thomas Lee, Andrea Lum. Go ahead and step forward first. Erica Pico, Rajat Paranik, Brad Rogers, Crystal Shane, Stephen Tonetti, Christine Tsai, Justin Yim, and Joe Tsai. Congratulations, FBLA members. You guys will get an award for knowing all these acronyms. Our next group, if they could come down and start to assemble, is our Family, Career, and Family Community Leaders of America, FCCLA. Yes. All of these students have participated at the state level and received state recognition. Their sponsors are Kelly Whitescarver and Kristen Johnson. Winners at the state level, please step forward. Maggie Didier, Melissa Goldberg, Brittany Masloff, Katie Nix, Megan Reed, Becca Rubenstein, Laura Servin, and Nikki Spence. Congratulations. I next would like to introduce Josh Regenscraft, who is going to introduce our second place twice team. Josh Regenscraft and all the students, if they could come forward, thank you.
missing a few. So I'll just announce the ones that are here today. Catherine Boulos, Alex Ravinsky, Justin Yim, Isaiah Liu, Michelle Liu, and Michaela Calvarano. So we came, it was a really long, great year with these kids. We started in February. We took first place at the regional this year at the College Lake County, and the sectional here held in March at Vernon Hills High School. We also took first place. Going into the state competition, we knew that we had our hardest challenge ahead of us, which was to try to beat the University of Chicago lab schools, who have been dominating the last few years. And I knew, and they knew it would be tough, but they did their best, and I'm very proud of all of them. And the seniors we're going to miss, and the juniors and sophomores and freshmen that we have, they're going to work even harder next year and come out next year. Hopefully we'll bring home the first place medal.
Next, if we could have Jim Pardun come forward with our second place math team. Jim Pardun. All math team kids that are here, please come forward.
On behalf of head coach Cheryl Ballinger, assistant coaches Jessica Chapman, Steve Corney, Brittany Reddig, and Wilbert Struva, I would like to congratulate the Vernon Hills High School math team for their second place finish in the state championship. As I read your name, just go ahead and step forward again, and then we'll give you your certificates at the end. Here we go. Aditya Alluri. Ari Bard, Noah Cho, Ryan Curtis, Bei Deng, Helen Deng, John Hoffman, Alan Hu, Conrad Kosich, Catherine Karswara, Michaela Kunvatranen, Zach Kurzenberger, Thomas Lee, Isaiah Liu, Michelle Liu, Emily Mang, Pratyusha Namburi, Udit Nanjia, Daniel Ruditsky, Ali Spence, Jonathan Stein, Christine Tsai, Lucy Wu, Justin Yim, Julie Yoon, Joe Zai, Eric Zhang, and Stephen Zhang. Congratulations.
Thanks, everyone. And our last group from Vernon Hills is going to be our Super State competition, where both schools, this is just so great for District 128, both schools took first place as state champions, and we're real proud of both programs. So I'd like to introduce Randy Sundell and Dave Tridley, our band directors, who are going to introduce their group. Congratulations, guys.
stage, please. The Super State competition is held at the University of Illinois every year. You have to send in a tape, which is then adjudicated by 3 judges, and they pick the top band in the state to come down and perform. This is well, we've been going now for 10 years in a row, and we've won 4 of the last 10 years and the last 3 times in a row. Next year we get invited down along with Libertyville to be the honored band. So we actually don't compete next year because they don't want to have bands win every single year. So therefore they separate us out a little bit. I'm just going to go down the list and just say all the names. Step forward once your name is called, and we'll give you your certificates later as well. Okay? Sarah Babbage, Scott Bass, Mary Bennett Swanson, Margaret Black, a lot of seniors, Lisa Bridenfield, Kristen Chang, Christine Chapman, Sheila Chen, Susie Chen, Hannah Cho, Bei Dang, Mark Edler, Kyle Erchinger, Max Fisher, Katie France, Carter Fricano, Monica Gill, Sam Glover, there's also the crossmates tonight too, Cammie Groff, Christian Hughes, Paige Kibler, Kimberly Kim, Patrick Hausen, Jared Kozel, Roger Levy, Ben Limer, Isaiah Liu, Jasmine Lowe, Susan Murray, James McHenry, Neil McLean, Noah Meltzer, Doug Millar, Hayden Moffitt, Woo Jin Ho, Isabel Pat, Alex Ravinsky, Mike Rickey, Sean Rickey, Anthony Sandry, Dan Schnarr, Zach Silver, Hina Singh, Zoe Stein, Matt Tabrizi, Sam Varon, Jacob Weisick, Tyler Walls, Adam Weinberg, Rob Williams, Lucy Wu, Alice Say, and Stephen Zay. Congratulations to all of you.
I'm going to start out the LHS Awards by asking Mr. Dennis Duffy to come forward and introduce an all-state debater.
Is Eric Boynton out there? No Boynton. It is Ditch Dig. Eric, are you out there, buddy? Okay, Eric's consummate debater. He won the JP State Championship in 2012. He's an octa finalist this year. He mentored, judged, and really helped his fellow debaters achieve everything they did. He was one of the 10 members of the state debate team picked by the judges, and for 4 years of great service to the debate team, a myriad of number of other clubs, as well as a varsity water polo team and a swim team. I will be giving this certificate to him tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Next we have Mr. Jeremy Gerlach, and he's going to introduce the LHS
proud this year, as my students are coming down, to have taken 18 kids this year for Skills USA, and 4 of them actually placed at state this year. 3 were able to make it tonight, even on Senior Ditch Day. I have 3 seniors that are actually here, which is great, so I thank you for that. These students can place in several different areas. These 3 in particular placed for graphic communications, screen printing, and job skill demonstration in Springfield, Illinois, where they competed with a bunch of other schools from the state to actually place. They placed at different levels. I will be taking 2 of the girls this year to nationals in Kansas City, Missouri in June. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys coming, and congrats.
Next, we have Mrs. Loretta O'Day and our Future Business Leaders of America.
This past April marks the 64th Illinois Future Business Leader of America State Leadership Conference. We took 15 kids from Libertyville High School this year. Of the 15, 12 placed in the top 10, and 4 qualified for nationals. You guys can come a little closer. Okay. 2 of my students that placed at nationals are seniors, and they're not here either, unfortunately. So Kathleen, who's not here, placed first in job interview, and Raul placed 3rd in computer problem solving. And my 2 students that did show up is Anil. She placed first in business financial plan, and then Arush, who placed 2nd in e-business. So this June, we will be going to the national conference, which is in Anaheim, California this year. So, that's good.
Next, I'd like to call down Monica Patterson, and she'll be introducing our Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, FCCLA.
So this is our first time getting invited to do this. I'm really excited. Look how lovely the people that showed up look. So I'm glad you told them what FCCLA is. Most people don't know. We had the unexpected pleasure of going downstate the day that there was flooding at Libertyville. And there were 2 days off of school for everybody except all of us. We were in Springfield. But our scores came back to be so wonderful that we didn't mind being there. So I'll just say the names of the girls that are here and their competition with my glasses on. So we have Bethany Chang. Go ahead and step forward. I'll do my students first. Sammy Mackey, Mary O'Leary, and Nicole Pink. All competitors in clothing construction and all first place winners. And Bethany Chang was the most outstanding in state. Step forward again, Bethany. Then, in our child development competition, we have Caitlin Cousins and Riley Paulus, who competed in children's literature and took first place. And we have Molly Shanahan, who competed in a preschool lesson with another young lady, Jessie Speck, and took second place, and Julia Hughes with another young lady, Gabby Vondrack, with second place in children's literature. There are 4 students that aren't here that competed in culinary with an assorted first or second place win. So thank you for inviting us.
Next we have our state championship, did I say first place state championship math team. Mr. Brenner is going to come up and introduce his staff.
I don't think I've stopped smiling in 2 weeks. These are my assistant coaches, Ms. Ligmanowski, Ms. Rendy, Ms. Loika, and Mr. Struva is not here tonight. Congratulations, guys. We have Jack Baumrick, Micah Brain, David Chow, Brent Cow, Maya D'Souza, Sean Duffy, Daniel Hardon, Jason G., Raul Canenchiel Lowe, Hannah Lampinen, Heather Legan, Tim Lee, Kevin Liu, Joey Nedland, Aaron Neal, Richard Pan, Nishad Fadke, Melanie Ching, Ankur Rastogi, Pooja Sajiv, Elliot Stanke, David Stone, Ryan Tang, Alex Wang, Preston Rolstead, Brenda Zanzi, Andy Zhang, Alex Zhang, Stevie Zhang, and Daniel Zhao.
Congratulations to our state champions tonight. I have to say, you were the most fun of any group in our championship march through the hall, because I didn't expect the math team to bring props. They brought giant calculators, posters, abacus, and they all had their shirts on, and the teachers, the sponsors on the back, their numbers equal pi. So how do you like that? So thank you for a great showing that state in here tonight. Thank you. Least, we have the LHS Band and their Super State winners. And we have Mr. Clemens and Mr. Shute to introduce them tonight.
The same day the math team was in competition at the University of Illinois, we had the wind ensemble competition later in the day. So several of the students were in actually both competitions, so they had a really big day. I want to mention, before I read the names of the students that are in the wind ensemble, that for the last 17 years in a row, except for one, the wind ensemble, the Libertyville High School Wind Ensemble, has been named the honor band or performed as the honor band. Quite a record. So congratulations to these young people on the tradition. If you're here, please step forward when I read your name. Joe Omuler, Laura Bonebreak, James Broughton, Rachel Broughton, Sarah Broughton, David Chow, Richard Cho, Graham Crawford, Adam DeLugo, Natalie Dankers, Emily Gilbertson, Nathan Golden, Tim Grote, Tom Grunert, Jacob Hershey, Derek Yost, Taylor Isberg, Paul Jensen, Callahan Johnson, Nick Johnson, Ben Jones, Matthew Kilbane, Patrick King, Elise Coulterman, Emma Coulterman, Nikhil Krishnan, Harriet Legan, Heather Legan, Noah Marcus, Austin Mateer, Evan Mazurik, Ethan Miller, Alex Mills, Nick Miner, Claire Montgomery, Andy Nader, Brittany Neal, Aaron Neal, Michael Ovasapian, Kira Pan, Carl Remler, Angie Rozier, Justin Roney, Joe Sackett, Pooja Saha, Annie Thompson, Keith Wilson, Holly Wong, Jonathan Wong, Lucia Zhang, and Austin Cozio. Let's have a nice hand for the women outside. Thank you very much.
I think we also need to collectively thank Mr. Shoup for coming out of retirement to lead us to our championship. We could have done it without him. Participation in our championship march. When I called Mr. Helvey to see if the band could play for the math team march, he said, well, we can, but we'll be in it too, cheering ourselves on. So that's kind of an unusual situation to have to cheer for yourself. So congratulations to all our VHHS and LHS winners tonight.
Okay, we are going to finish up, and how about one last round of applause for these outstanding young people.
So, that was a wonderful time of celebration downstairs, and what great accomplishments, and how nice to be able to see all that energy and enthusiasm and hear about all those accomplishments. So again, congratulations to all the students and the teachers that were recognized downstairs. And now, President's time for the awards for them. Yes, so Dr. Grudy wasn't able to be with us tonight because of some traveling interruptions, but we are so pleased to be able to recognize our wonderful student board representatives. And we just want to take a minute to just thank you for all that you've brought to us. You've brought the lives of your schools into this board meetings each month, and it's been such a pleasure to get to know you both here as we've heard you report, but also at the luncheons, and I've had the pleasure of being able to attend a few of those, and I know that Dr. Grudy and all that attend those have just been so happy to hear more and more about just what your life is like, and you've represented your school so well. So thank you. We will be recognizing tonight from Libertyville High School the co-representatives, Aaron Coburn and Shad Fadki. I hope I pronounced that right. And then from VHHS, Allison Tran and Brandon Cohen is the alternate. Why don't you guys?
Now we can all shake hands. We'll do a big group picture, okay? Okay, why don't you come over here and we'll let Mrs. Packard take a picture of us, okay? And Karen, you can go on one side. Okay, the pole now. Okay, great.
And maybe just real quick before you give your reports, and when you sit down, would you just tell us what each of the final decisions are for you going forward?
I'm going to University of Illinois for computer science.
Wonderful.
I'll be attending Creighton University with a major in marketing and possible entrepreneurship minor.
I'll be going to University of Wisconsin-Madison to study athletic training and pre-physical therapy.
And I will be going to Indiana University and double majoring in journalism and theater.
Great. Well, again, thanks you guys. And I wish you all the best. It's been wonderful to get to know you, and hope you come back and visit us sometimes. You know, when you're looking for something to do. And along with that, we would love to welcome our new reps that are going to be with us next year. And Tara Ayer's not here with us tonight from one of the LHS co-reps, but Joey Nedland. Joey, can you stand? And Grace Ferrolo from VHHS's rep. And will be the VHHS alternate. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. Look forward to getting to know you and hearing from you each month, all the different events going on at the school. So thank you for doing this. All right. And now your last, well, I think, are you guys going to be doing the reports or you passed it on?
We're doing it.
All right, the last time. All right, we look forward to that. So go ahead, whoever wants to begin.
Sure. Okay. So Libertyville High School 2012-2013 school year is coming to an end. In regards to Fine Arts, Orchestra had their last performance this past Thursday, and the LHS band, as we saw, performed at the University of Illinois and placed first in Super State, which was a huge accomplishment. In regards to sports, the regular season games have wrapped up and spring sports teams are beginning the first rounds of playoffs. Boys lacrosse has made it to the state playoffs and will be playing this Wednesday night at the stadium. Seniors Haley Becker, Nicole Jaffe, and Carly Stewart competed in the state track meet this past weekend. Nicole placed 6th in pole vault and Haley placed 6th in high jump, and the track team is officially 31st in the state of Illinois. The suit and tie prom was this past weekend and was fun for all. Many are saying it was one of the best weekends they've had, and they say it was a great way to wrap up senior year. Hundreds of students can now let out a deep breath as 2 weeks of AP tests are finally done. College t-shirts filled the school a few weeks ago on senior decision day. The CRC was packed with students making their final decisions and fulfilling the tradition of pinning their flag on the map in the state of where they're going to college. And the senior class is getting ready to say their bittersweet goodbye to high school. Graduation will be held at the Sears Center on Friday, June 7th, and will be followed by a big graduation party put on by Parent Cats. While it's been an unforgettable 4 years, I think it seems like everyone is excited to take on the next challenge in their lives, whatever that may be.
Okay. So we have a lot of similar things going on at Vernon Hills. The biggest news is that prom also was this past weekend at the Westin in Wheeling. Our theme was A Night at the Oscars, and it was a huge success. Everyone who went had a blast, and just like how Aaron was saying, everyone who went said it's been the best weekend so far of the year. And I agree, I had a great time. So thanks to Student Council for putting that on. And as far as sports go, many are over now, unfortunately, but some are still going on in the championship season. Track and field for girls is over. We had 12 state qualifiers, myself included, and boys track and field qualified 6 athletes to the state meet this weekend, so congrats to them. There's a few games going on still. I know boys baseball, lacrosse, and volleyball still have games, but then girls soccer and softball are over, so sports are kind of starting to wrap up. There has also been a lot going on with fine arts. Our spring play, Almost Maine, was a few weekends ago, and it was a really great story. Several humorous love stories wrapped into one. Both Brandon and Grace were part of that, and they did a really great job. Also, Orchesis was last weekend. That was our annual dance show, and the theme this year was passion, and it was a really cool show, and the dancers all did a great job. Choir also had its last concert of the year at Cabaret, and our theme this year was rock and pop from before 2000. So that was a very fun show. Unfortunately, I had to miss it, but again, Brandon and Grace were there, and they had lots of fun. It was a great way to end the year for choir, but it's not really over because we have technically our last concert of the year tomorrow night for the a cappella groups. The voicemail, love notes, and chamber choir will be singing for the last time this year tomorrow night. And that's the same night as the art show, so lots of arts going on tomorrow night. And as far as end of the year activities go, there's a ton going on. Seniors especially, we have graduation gown pickups, and our graduation is June 6th here at the school, followed by our party June 7th. So it's sure to be a great end of the year. And thank you all for a great year as well.
Thank you.
I don't really have anything to say. Aaron hit most of the big points, and usually I report in the academic clubs. A lot of those were said at the awards ceremony, like FBLA, top honors, math team winning first in state, band going to super state. All those things are great. So I guess I'll just end by saying that I had a great time serving as your representative during the school year. It's been an honor and experience that not many people get to enjoy. The lunches are always fantastic. It's cool getting a new perspective on how the school works behind the scenes, something that a lot of students don't get to see. So it's just been great. Maybe we can all see something, and then just thanks for a great year. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to second everything Nishad said. This was such an honor, such a fun experience and an honor, but at the same time so much fun. I looked forward to all these board meetings as well as the luncheons. It was great to see the behind the scenes as well as get to know the board members on a personal level. It's something I'll remember throughout my life, and it was one of my favorite experiences of senior year. So thank you again. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, I'll give my thanks as well. Kind of to go back to what I was saying when we were interviewing for next year, I really stressed how interesting this whole experience is and how eye-opening it is. I really didn't know what to expect coming in at the beginning of this year, and I remember myself sitting next to Kate last year being like, what am I going to have to do? Like, this is so intimidating. But it's been really great, and the communication has been open between all you members and us, and I think it's just been very, very helpful to me, I think, as a student and as someone who really likes to be involved. So just thank you guys all so much for this opportunity, and I definitely intend to stay in contact.
Well, I haven't been here as much. Ms. Allie, when Allie had conflicts, usually I did too, because I was a fine arts conflict. But this was something that was very out of my comfort zone when I first joined, and it was something that I'm really glad I decided to do it and decided to interview. I really thank you so much, and it's been a wonderful experience and something I will remember for the rest of my life. So thank you.
All right, thank you again very much. And now we move on to the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you, Karen. And I would echo what everyone else has said. There has not been a better group of students to hang out with at least once a month. And of course, finishing lunch with pie was always a great thing, I think, for most of us. We like that. But it's just been a pleasure working with all of you this year, and you have done an incredible job representing your fellow students in both of your high schools, and you are a credit to everything that you've done at both the high schools. So thank you for sharing your talents with us over the course of the year. It's been a real pleasure as well. Okay, so good job and good luck moving forward. Before we have the good news tonight, we introduced downstairs Dr. Rita Fisher, and I wanted you to be able to see Rita, although I know she stood up. There were a lot of people down there. And this is Dr. Rita Fisher, and we want to give Rita a chance to say anything that she'd like to say tonight. And Rita, welcome to the District 128 family, and let me introduce you to our Board of Education. Bill, you want to start? Let's go around and just introduce yourselves.
I'm Bill Radzer. Rita, nice to meet you. Alex Deli Powley.
Stephen Arthur. Jim Batson, nice to meet you.
Karen Lundstedt, nice to see you again. Ellen Bauer, nice to meet you.
And Pat Rudy, our board president, was not able to be here tonight. So, Rita, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be introduced on a night when we're recognizing such varied and amazing student talent and accomplishments. It's been a great way to be introduced to the district, as well as a really exciting teacher presentation, Mark Busing's trip and the neat opportunities that offers to students to consider what it would be like to be a scientist. So I am just thrilled to be joining a district that places such high regard for developing excellent teachers in support of student learning, and look forward to joining this really amazing instructional leadership team. Thank you.
Welcome. And let me add also that I want to thank Al and Marina and Ellen and Mary and everybody else, Bo, Warnbold, everyone else who participated in what's an historic event for us this evening, having 226 students in the last 6 weeks in academic and academic-related competitions, place at state, many of those students going on to nationals. I mean, it's an incredible evening for the district and the students and their parents and our staff, obviously, who's done such a great job of working with them all. So thank you for helping arrange that because we've never done that before. And I think that was a nice way to handle it in an environment that would be a little bit more navigable than if we had all of those people in the library. I'm thinking, Alex, I'm just thinking. So anyway, okay, as hard as it is to believe, with all of that good news, there's more good news to share this evening. On Saturday, May 4th was a great day to be a Cougar and a Wildcat. Both LHS and VHHS students participated in competitions on the state level at the U of I. At the end of the day, as you know, the LHS math team won state competition in its division, while the VHHS math team took second place in its division. In fine arts, the LHS and VHHS wind ensembles were both named the honor band in their divisions in the super state competition, also held at the U of I. 3 VHHS students have received perfect ACT scores of 36 this year. But this trio of students didn't achieve this just once. They have received perfect scores multiple times, which is a little scary. Senior Matthew Tabrizi and junior Eric Zhang each scored a perfect score twice, while junior Justin Song earned a perfect ACT score 3 times, in addition to a perfect SAT score of 2,400. So congratulations to those students, pretty impressive. LHS senior Richard Pan was selected to the 2013 Chicago Tribune All-State Academic Team. The following LHS students were named April Students of the Month: Christian Klepak, Rebecca Ratzer, Anthony Paglia, Kelly Brandt, Jack Stewart, Courtney Tregaz, Ethan Herberger, Madison Ormson, Ethan Deerdorf, Meredith Varner, and Robert Snader. 3 LHS staff members received honors at the 26th Annual Illinois Directors of Student Activities Banquet. Principal Marina Scott received a Principal's Recognition Award given to Illinois principals who demonstrate outstanding support, participation, and commitment to student activities. Team leader Sean Farrell and business education teacher Kristen Connolly were recognized by the IDSA for Advisors of the Year. These awards recognize individuals who, through their time and effort, have made an impact on their activity and who exemplify the ideal sponsor. Sean is an ACE advisor and Kristen is a yearbook and FBLA advisor. Congratulations to them. And finally this evening, photography by 9 District 128 students was selected for the juried show of Chicago area high school photography held recently at the Perspective Gallery in Evanston. With over 400 photographs submitted, it was an honor to be selected for the show. At the show's May 4th opening reception, LHS junior Alexis Lindell's work, Dreaming of Freedom, was selected as the People's Choice Award winner. She received a cash prize for the honor. So congratulations to all of our students for, again, just an outstanding month. Next in the superintendent's report tonight, the board will note that we have 3 FOIA requests in your folder tonight. And the next thing on the agenda under the superintendent's report is approval of the 2013-14 IASB dues. And we will need a motion to approve that recommendation, and then we'll be followed by a roll call vote.
I make a motion that we approve the IASB annual dues.
Second.
Roll call, please. Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Delli Pelli.
Aye.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Birdie.
Okay, great. Next on the superintendent's report this evening, you will find in your packet 2013-14 revised committee and board schedule meeting. And Denise, can you review the one change that we made for us? I think Ellen had discovered a conflict.
There was a conflict, I think, with, is it Passover?
Yes.
Yeah, Passover.
And we moved 1 meeting from our original calendar.
So that would have been in the spring, I'm guessing, April?
The April meeting.
April.
Yes.
Was moved up.
Yeah.
It's the first Monday in April.
Instead of the second Monday, due to a conflict with one of the Jewish holidays. And in keeping with our tradition in the district. So this does not require a roll call vote. A voice vote would work just fine on this.
So I make a motion that we accept the revised annual committee and board meeting dates as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, great. And finally, as the board knows, we've been keeping you updated with lots of the activity that's going on in Springfield that will eventually have an impact on every public school district in Illinois. Very quickly, again, there are two pension reform plans on the table right now. One in the House under the leadership of Speaker Madigan, and one in the Senate under the leadership of President Cullerton. The Madigan proposal is by far the deepest cuts and passing on of costs to local school districts, and it essentially requires years of service, and as a trade-off, individual employees would pay more towards their pensions moving forward. They would lose the ability to have the cost of living increase at the end, and also access to health care would be diminished as well. Senator Cullerton's plan does not cut as much resources for the state. However, it allows the employees more choices, if you will. It's better termed the choice plan, and it allows the employee to trade off cost of living adjustments for post-retirement health care as part of the process. The other thing the board's aware of is over the last week, Speaker Madigan has begun to meet with groups of individuals who are representing college universities, public schools, other entities that are covered by the state pension systems in order to discuss a pension cost shift back to, in our case, the local school districts. That looks like it's a certainty to happen. We've asked our local legislators as our representatives there to consider keeping that year-over-year cost as they begin the run-up on that to a minimum, and to spread that over as long a period of time as they possibly can, or to cap it at 3, 4, or 5 years, which would allow us to predict our costs. But that cost coming back to the local districts over a period of time will accumulate require some dollars from local districts. For example, for us, if we did a 0.5% a year and then went out 12 years, that would be just under $3 million at its height of run-up, and that would be a cost that we would have every year going forward. So if you did the simple math on that, 3 million times 10, we're looking at $30 million over a 10-year period. And even for a district like ours, who has done good financial planning work, managed our resources well, and we are blessed to have good resources in the district, that would change the trajectory of our long-range financial plan that we've been working on. So we'll be monitoring that very closely over the rest of this week. He's supposed to meet with public education advocates again tomorrow. We discovered at the end of last week that the university and college presidents and community college presidents have agreed to a deal with Speaker Madigan, which would be a 0.5% for the next 22 years. That would assume their entire 11% cost to the colleges and universities, and of course they will take care of that cost by raising tuition, and they made that very clear. Unfortunately for us as a local school district, we don't have the ability to do that outside the tax caps. So one of the things that we've asked for, if they're going to pass this legislation, we've asked our local legislators to consider moving that outside of the tax cap. So if and when districts needed to levy for that specific cost, that they had the ability to do that. It does not look like the speaker's amenable to that at this time, but again, that's a big cost driver, what the state would call their normal costs, and that if employees are going to pick up part of the cost as well, 2% under Speaker Madigan's plan, and you're going to reduce the COLA, that's where you get the cost savings from Madigan's plan. I'll leave the subject with this tonight, that the unions, as the board is aware, have signed off on the Cullerton plan. They were part of a conversation in developing that plan. And it doesn't look like right now it'll be an either or. It looks like there may be an amalgam of the two plans, and one of the plans may be amended to include some pieces from the other one. If you were to ask me for my prediction at this point, we know the speaker is very interested in the cost shift, and it could well be with the union support of Cullerton's bill that the cost shift might be amended onto President Cullerton's bill, and that would be the bill that would be passed because the unions have signed off on that agreement. But at the end of the day, only Speaker Madigan knows for sure, and perhaps Senate President Cullerton what will happen. But they have 8 days left to get that done before May 31st. So I'll keep the board up to date, and of course our staff here as well.
Brandon, has anybody
yes.
made an estimate of the total dent this is going to make in debt?
Well, the Madigan plan, the most recent numbers I've seen is 1.9 billion. It will yield savings. Cullerton's plan's about a third of that. If I'm going to be close, Alex, a quarter to a third of that during a similar period of time. Let's say over the next 25 years, as we're going through the ramp up. The other piece of both of these plans is there's a guarantee. Contractual guarantee placed in both pieces of those legislations that the state will have to make their payments, which we know is part of the difficulty that we're in right now. When you think back just several years ago when Governor, although it seems like a long time, it's not been that long since Governor Blagojevich was the governor, but 2 years during his term, they made no payments, zero payments to the pension system. So that guarantee, I think, was very important to the unions. And some of the educational groups that the state actually would be contractually bound to make those payments. If they don't, there's redress actually through the court system. The constitutional piece on both of these, if you watch the media, Cullerton believes that the Madigan plan will not be constitutional because under contract law it does not give consideration to the other party, which Cullerton's plan does. It gives you a choice to move away from the increases after you retire and possibly health care. So it will be very interesting to see how this plays out. This is politics at the highest and probably most important level in Illinois. And our concern is if they get to the end and they don't get one of those two plans done, then we're going to be right back doing this next year, and we're another year literally deeper in debt as the pension ramp up is going on the backside, because those payments are increasing like a balloon payment on the backside, and they're at a level right now that they're taking such a high amount of state revenue just to make the payment that they cannot provide additional funding to education and social services and some of the other things that they would like to fund that are high priorities for the state.
So if we match that 22-year deal, we would have 22 years. There's no talk about that necessarily taking care of all like that.
No, that would be one piece of a very complex puzzle. So some of the thinking with taking the kind of taking the Madigan pension cost shift and attaching it to Cullerton's bill is that politically it has a better chance to have support from people who may be supported by the unions. It also it has a better chance to pass constitutional muster at the end of the day, but we don't know what the speaker is thinking, and that's a very difficult thing to ascertain for people who are well in the know in Springfield, and I think that's all going to be revealed. But the push on the pension cost shift most recently with some timeliness on his part over the last couple of weeks, I think indicates that that's going to be a piece of the pie moving forward. And I think it's going to be difficult to pass his bill, to have legislative support to pass his bill and the pension cost shift together. He wants the state out of the pension business. That's the way the state will be out of the pension business, with us taking over normal costs. So I think it's more likely that some form of that would be attached to Cullerton's bill, where you already have the unions and other groups supporting that. Regardless, for example, the Illinois Retired Teachers Association has already said whichever plan is passed, they're going to file suit. So everyone in Springfield realizes that this is going to go to court, And it's going to have to be resolved at some level, but the reality is Cullerton's plan probably has, regardless of what the speaker says, Cullerton's plan legally, if it's just decided on contract law and the Constitution, has a much better opportunity to pass because it gives us choices as we move into retirement. And it would grandfather some of the people that are in the chute right now, it would grandfather them in. That was an issue. And then how do you take care of the retirees, you know, as they go through the process as well. And one plan, you know, doesn't exempt the retirees. The other plan, you know, allows them to make the choices. So again, you've got another large block of individuals in the state who would be more supportive of Cullerton's plan than they would be Madigan's plan if they had to choose one of the two. So we shall see if myself and others are right in terms of what that might look like to get it done. Any other questions on that? High drama, that's for sure. Okay. And so with that, Karen, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you so much. It's time for the invitation for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent vote agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent vote agenda as stated on your agenda?
I move we approve the consent vote agenda as presented.
Second.
Can I make one correction in the consent agenda on number 7? It's Jessica Revlin. She's actually a replacement hire, not a resignation.
Oh.
That's important.
Makes a big difference.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
So I
Okay.
apologize for that.
That's okay. Can I amend your motion to reflect that? How do we do that?
Yeah, that would be good if you just did it for the record with that correction.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Batson?
Aye.
Delli Polly?
Aye.
Lundstedt?
Aye.
Nauer?
Aye.
Ratzer?
Aye.
Arthur?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Page 2. Program and Personnel Committee report.
Okay, let's go on this one. First thing, we have board policies, 6:15, school accountability, and 6:190, extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Nothing has changed since the last reading, and so we're asking for someone to make a motion to approve these policies as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Delli Polly?
Aye.
Lundstedt?
Aye.
Nauer?
Aye.
Ratzer?
Aye.
Arthur?
Aye.
Batson?
Aye.
Okay, next we have board policies, and these are a first reading. So we have policy 4170, safety. This updates language that requires fingerprinting and background checks for contractors who will be on student campuses and student teachers. Then we have policy 550, drug and alcohol-free workplace, and that provides a change in that no tobacco products may be used at any school-related event, even if it is an off-campus school-related event. We have policy 5260, student teachers, and again, that updates language that student teachers must have fingerprinting and background checks done. Then we have policy 6300, graduation requirements. And this changes language indicating that students may opt out of consumer ed by taking a state proficiency test. Now an actual course must be taken. The state is not offering that exam any longer. Then we have policy 7190, student discipline. There are two changes. One updates our cell phone use wording so that it is clear as to what constitutes acceptable cell phone use while students are in school. And two, students are now able to be immediately transferred to an alternative school if needed instead of waiting for a 20-day school suspension. So those are, this is the first reading of those policies. Are there any questions on those? Any clarifications? Okay, then we're moving along to C, the 2012-13 final amended school calendar, and we need a motion for someone to accept that, and that calendar has been amended to reflect the snow and disaster days that we've had in our district.
So moved.
Second.
And I think we can do a voice vote on that one, right?
Mhm.
So all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, and that passes.
Next, we have textbook adoptions, and we would like a motion to approve the 2013-14 textbook adoptions as presented, and these purchases do fall within our budgeted amount.
We have a motion?
I move we approve the textbook conditions as presented.
Second?
Okay, roll call, please.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Delli Polly.
Aye.
Okay, then we have the 2013-14 Ombudsman Alternative Education Services Agreement, and we want to approve this renewal. This renewal does reflect a 1.2% increase, so that we're paying a total of $34,104 for the year. That comes out to $5,684 per seat, and we typically purchase 6 seats for the year. Additional seats may be purchased if we need them. These seats are for non-special education students who are in need of alternative school. So we need a motion to approve that education service agreement.
So moved. Second?
Roll call, please.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Delli Polly.
Aye.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Okay, and next we have a list of educational tour requests. So we would like someone to make a motion to approve those tour requests.
I move we approve the tour request as presented.
Second?
Okay, roll call, please.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Delli Polly.
Aye.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye. And then finally, we'd like to approve the employment of employees as listed.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Delli Polly.
Aye.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
And that concludes the report.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the Facilities and Finance Committee report. Representative Batson.
Okay. I'd like to thank Stephen for filling in for me last time, so I'm kind of flying a little blind here. He filled in as chair for the committee meeting 2 weeks ago, or just last week. First on the agenda here on the list is the 2012 tax extension, and yes, maybe you can.
Sure. As you know, in October of each year, we start discussing the levy for the following year, and that discussion goes through about 3 months. This year, when the levy was adopted by the board in November, our focus was in making sure that our taxes did not increase over the previous year, and that led into discussions that went through the month of February, at which point the Board of Education decided to abate $4 million out of the bond and interest fund for the 2012 property tax year. That started the process with the county clerk, and starting in March with regular communications from them and with final numbers coming through from them towards the end of April, we found that our tax levy, our EAV had gone down by about 6.29% from the previous year. In 2009, our actual equalized assessment was $3.2 billion. This year, it was $2.8 billion, so you can see the huge decline of about $400 million in the property value within District 128 boundaries. And despite that decline, the county clerk informed us that Libertyville Township saw the least amount of decrease in all of Lake County. So that kind of helped stabilize us a little bit more than it has in other school districts. We also saw decrease in our new construction in past years. Our new construction has been as high as $65 to $70 million. This year we saw our new construction at $11 million, which once again was a decrease of about 50% from the previous year, which was $22 million. Our levy and extension is also dependent on our CPI, and last year the CPI was 1.5%. For the 2012 tax year, the CPI was 3.0%. Another factor in our levy and extension was the fact that, as had been planned in 1997, we saw an increase in our bond and interest payment by about $300,000 from the previous year. This is before any kind of abatement. And obviously, if we had not done the abatement, we would have seen that increase in our tax levy too. With all those factors coming in, our extension was pretty much where we were hoping it would be. It was just about $500,000 more than what it was the previous year, and about $300,000 of that, as I stated before, coming from bond and interest. Unfortunately, as it is under tax caps, anytime there are declining equalized assessment valuations and your tax extension remains pretty much the same or goes up, you will see an increase in the total tax rate, which is what we saw. And that will be a discussion that we will have again with you in October and November when we start looking at the levy. Part of this tax extension is going to be received in the current in the current fiscal year. Generally, we get about 49% of it in this fiscal year, and we'll see the balance depending on how many taxpayers are unable to make their tax payments. We will see about 50% or so in the next fiscal year. So those have been included in my projections, and I will be presenting the budget to you at the next committee meeting. So that will be part of our discussions then. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those for you.
Okay. Any questions or
Did we anticipate that big a drop in the EAP?
Actually, when I had received the preliminary numbers from the county clerk, the decline was not that to the extent that actually happened, but that was because there were a number of property owners that were still looking for adjustments in their tax valuation. And that comes through, just continues throughout the year. So that is what resulted in a little more decline than we had expected. Had that not happened, our tax extension would have been exactly what it was last year.
And I think it's important, again, for the community to know, because we can't say this enough, that the board voted to abate $2 million last year, the additional $4 million this year, so $6 million over 2 years. And the goal this year was to try and keep the tax rate flat moving forward after lots of discussion and after lots of analysis. No, anything to add? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next item up is a resolution for designation of interest earnings, and as I understand, this is unless we provide a resolution to this effect, any interest earnings at the end of the fiscal year will turn into principal in each one of the funds that that interest is earned. So this provides us the ability to keep that designated as interest, giving us a little more flexibility in the future.
That is correct.
Understanding? Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution for designation of interest earnings for 2013-14.
Second.
Roll call, please. Batson.
Aye.
Valley Polly.
Aye.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Arthur.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, the Libertyville High School flood remediation update. Mr. Flores, can you give us a brief update?
Yes. Last week we met with our 2 architects, a civil engineer, 2 mechanical engineers, Alex, Yasmin, Chris Stencil, and myself to analyze what we felt the issues were and what our next step was. This Thursday, we are all getting together again to come up with some solutions of what we're going to do to proceed to correct this problem. Mrs. Dada told me tonight that the village would also like to be involved with that meeting, so that's a step in the right direction. We have done all of the cleaning of the sub-basement. Either tomorrow or Wednesday, Arrow Plumbing is going to do the scope. And then we'll know after Thursday how much and where we start digging up and when we start tearing up the floor to see where we're at. Yasmin, I think, is still working with the insurance companies. Okay, she has some information on the insurance companies and what they're going to pay and not pay for and so forth. Questions?
Justin, we heard correctly at the last meeting, the foundation of the building has no issue.
No, we're structurally sound. That's the structural engineer has checked that on 2 occasions, and that's the first thing we did. When school was closed by Dr. Lee, that was the first thing to check that we were okay.
Thank you.
As you know, we are part of an insurance pool that has about 180 members in it. And what that does for the school district, it kind of distributes the risk around. Obviously, we take the largest hit, but our other members also see a slight increase in their premiums, and that is being part of a co-op. Other school districts have had floods, tornadoes, and we have seen similar impact on our own rates. Last week, I met with our insurance administrator, and when he told me what he told me, I kind of had to sit down because I was not expecting numbers that high. And he said at one time, the insurance company thought that our loss would be about $6 million. And I said, whoa, what's going on there? Because they heard media reports saying all the problems that were happening in the school district that were unfounded and based on nothing but speculation. Since then, the insurance company has revised, obviously, the estimates. They still don't know the cause of the problem. We don't know the cause of the problem. So they have set aside close to $2.5 million at this time to address any issues that we may have. Those numbers are rather large, I think. I don't think we'll be that close to those high numbers. I will be meeting with Travelers at the end of May. That is our primary insurance company. They've asked for a meeting. So that will happen at a risk management seminar that I'm going to, and they've asked if I would give them some time there to talk about our losses and what has happened and what we have done to date. I don't know the impact this will have on our premiums. Hopefully, not this year, but nothing will happen, but next year there will be an increase in our premiums, because tomorrow I should receive what our premiums will be for the following school year. So set up, the losses came at a time when the premiums were already being computed. I will have more information for you hopefully at the next FNF committee meeting, but most of this information is just kind of coming through right now. And hopefully the losses are not as significant as I thought to be at this time.
Yes, we do. Our loss is probably going to be about 1/3 of our premium base for next year. Is that about right? 1/3 community, 1/3 us, 1/3 the other guys. Are they setting up a big reserve, which then maybe artificially raise your premiums too quickly? They're talking about $2 or $3 million. We're not going to come anywhere close to that.
We're not, but hopefully by the time, generally it is in April that we start discussing the renewal for the fall for this year. So by that time, everything should have been done for us. And we are still discussing the fact that we are doing those soil borings as to who's going to pick up the cost for it. The insurance company is just as anxious to know what caused it.
Right.
Initially, they had thought that being this close to the lake was impacting us, but our insurance broker, our administrator, kind of told them, hey, the school district has been there for 50 years. This is the first time something like this has happened.
Right.
So obviously, it is not that it is having an impact on us. There is a neighboring school district that is very close to floodwaters too, and they had to build a brand new school because of that problem. We said, hold on, that's not us, because this is the first time we've had a flood like this in others.
Okay. But I guess what I'm going is our potential loss is part of your most current renewal premium? Is it going to come that quickly?
It is not,
We'd
because the
have a whole
premiums
year
were
to
already
kind of
set.
figure that one
Yes.
out. Okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
Yeah. There was some discussion at the insurance company level to say, hey, because this has happened, maybe we need to look at our renewals for everyone.
Right.
However, because the co-op itself has performed well, they were willing to wait for another year to see what impact there is.
So Bill, to your question, we'll have a more accurate number of our costs to reflect when they do the premiums the
For next year.
around,
Yeah.
rather than saying it's 2.5 million.
Well, I know, but they're setting
Yeah.
reserves now, and we don't want that reserve to be put
That's
in
right.
our
Right.
premium.
That's correct.
Artificially
Yes.
high.
Yeah, and,
Exactly.
At the, with our broker, they're constantly looking for every claim there is as to what the
Right.
reserves are and whether the reserve should be adjusted. And that is done on a monthly basis. So in our case, hopefully that will be adjusted downwards, knowing that perhaps the losses are not as significant as was thought. Okay, so.
Any other questions, comments?
Jim, let's just reinforce one more time, going back to Stephen's question, that the building is structurally sound, or we would never put students back in there. 2, the building did not collapse, was not on fire, is not disappearing in a sinkhole. has not floated away into Butler Lake. So those are all things the media reported at some point regarding the building, and we can understand how the rumors started to move through the community when they were hearing those kind of reports. So, Aaron, I think you will attest for us that Libertyville High School is open and good for business, and I think Dr. Scott would reinforce that. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Bid recommendations, we have two separate motions for each, I'm assuming. The first one is a combination LHS and VHHS facility improvement.
That would be Stuckey Construction Company won the bid, and they are going to be doing the field house flooring at Vernon Hills. They're going to take the field house floor off. They're going to scarify the concrete underneath it, and to make sure that all the moisture that we think is trapped under there when they built the original building is out, and then at that point in time we can put in a new, it is the Mondo floor that is going down. That is the company that Stuckey Construction has chose to use for the flooring. At LHS, we're going to do 5 classrooms. We're going to take out the dividers, curtains, and going to brick up the walls, make separate rooms. We're also going to then do the West Gymnasium locker room, where we now have 1 large locker room, a unisex locker room. We're going to divide it, make it into 2 equal locker rooms. And then the last piece of this puzzle is the male coaches locker room behind the main gym at LHS. We're going to remodel it and take care of and remove some of the asbestos piping and so forth that is in there. I don't have that on my screen, but it comes out to the low bid was $737,000 even by Stuckey Construction, and the estimate for this project was $740,420. So we were real close, and we did come under that estimate. In that number, we have an approximate contingency of $31,000. That's important, especially at the Vernon Hills facility, because when we start to get into the concrete floor, we hope that we don't get another lake. I'm being facetious, obviously, but I hope we don't have an issue underneath that flooring. We also have an allowances in there, so I think we're protected with that bid. And the bids were pretty close with the 3 companies that we had, so I think it's a good project. Stuckey Construction has done 2 major projects for District 128, plus a lot of them for us at Hawthorne, so we're very pleased with Stuckey Construction. Question?
I make a motion that we accept the bid from Stuckey Construction.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Sally Pollock.
Aye.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye. Okay, and we have our second bid recommendation for district-wide trash removal and recycling service.
Yes, the low bidder was Advanced Disposal of Waukegan, Illinois. There were 5 companies that bid the price, bid this project, and Advanced was the lowest. This contract, if approved, will start on the 10th of June and will run to June 30th of the year 2015. It was awfully close between Advance and the next bidder. And keep in mind that this is an on-call type of bid, so you can't put an exact number of what it's going to cost us. But if everything went according to what we thought we would do, it's about $200 difference per month in the first year between Advance and the next bidder. I will say that they burned me once, not Advance, but the trash business. I did ask for a performance bond. That's the first time I've ever done that for disposal bids, so it'll be okay.
Jess, was that pun intended? You got burned before by the trash?
That's in New York, maybe. I didn't mean that.
Okay.
So I move we accept the new contract for advanced disposal. Thank you.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Lundstedt.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Kelly Polly.
Aye.
Those are the items I have. Stephen, any others from the committee meeting?
No, because we did have them discussed earlier.
Superintendent's report.
So that concludes the facilities and finance report.
Great, okay, moving on to the property committee, Chairman Arthur.
There's nothing to report at this time.
All right. Okay, then moving on to the CEDAL report, I have a little bit of information. I think I forwarded to everyone the packet of information that gives all the detail. If we're able to take a peek at that or not, but I'll just summarize real quickly. The proposed budget for the 2013-14 year is a slight decrease from last year for CEDAL. It is about $330,000 less, $70,411,236. Tuition is also gone down a little bit, and I don't know if you remember from other years, but there was a big bump in tuition a few years ago, and now since then they've either held it flat or had it diminish a little bit. And so it's, overall I think about a 3% decrease. I'm not sure if ours is exactly that, but close to that. Enrollment is looking to be down. There are going to be 61 fewer students in the sector classes and 18 fewer in the all-day classes. There have been some different transitions with us taking, different districts taking back classrooms, which I know we've done that a couple years ago. They feel like that's kind of stabilizing out now, so maybe the numbers will stay a little bit more steady. But again, these are preliminary numbers. I think it's subject to change, certainly. Just a couple of the changes that they're proposing. The transition program, which is for the students as they are transitioning from classroom into the real world, and it goes up until the age of 22. So students are given programs up until that age. It used to be that if you turned 22 anytime in the year, the district was billed for the entire year. Now they're changing it to semester by semester. So if a student turns 22 within, say, the fall semester, the district will pay during fall, but not during winter, and that's a change from before that will be proposed. They're in contract negotiations with the Support Staff Association. They're doing, as I mentioned before, more with like long-range planning, and they're hoping to have a 5-year long-range financial and just facilities plan. They are finishing up some large construction projects, and that helps to have dropped the budget a bit. A lot of their big building stuff is really diminished. I think that's covering most of the items. If anybody has any questions. Okay. Concludes my report. And is there anything from the Illinois Association of School Boards?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Then it is time for us to convene.
Yeah, I make a motion that we go into
Closed
executive
session.
session.
Executive session.
Second.
For the purpose of employment of employees.
So, second? Oh, you did second, all right, thank you. So roll call, please.
Mauer.
Aye.
Ratzer.
Aye.
Arthur.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Kelly Polly.
Aye.
Lundstedt.
Aye. And we will just make a note there, we will be adjourning to closed session. It's 9:07. And we will not be conducting any business when we're back, taking any action.
Not be taking a vote when we come out.
All right.
Okay.